Some family stories begin with triumph, while others begin in chaos and only make sense in hindsight. The Kardashian-Jenner empire belongs firmly to the latter. Long before luxury skincare brands, private jets, and reality television dominance, the story was unfolding quietly in handwritten diary entries. Not polished memoirs or carefully curated confessionals, but raw, private notes written by a man watching his marriage unravel in real time. When excerpts from Robert Kardashian's diaries were later published by In Touch Weekly, they revealed a version of events that stood in sharp contrast to the pristine family image the public would eventually embrace. And those pages don't open at the peak of fame. They begin decades earlier. They start with a young woman named Kris Houghton and a pattern that would echo throughout her life. In the early 1970s, before cameras and contracts, Kris was just 19 years old when she became engaged to professional golfer Cesar Sanudo, a man more than a decade older than her. His career kept him constantly on the road, and according to multiple accounts, that absence created space for something else to grow. During one of those long stretches apart, Kris began a relationship with a young attorney named Robert Kardashian. The engagement ended abruptly. Sanudo reportedly returned home unexpectedly and discovered the affair, igniting a breakup that was anything but quiet. He later claimed that a significant amount of gold, valued at roughly $30,000 at the time, had gone missing. Adjusted for inflation, that figure would approach 7 figures today. No charges were ever filed, and the story eventually faded into rumor. But the damage was done. Even at this early stage, the themes were already in place. Relationships entangled in secrecy, sudden fallout, and controversies that never fully disappeared, quietly setting the tone for what would come next. Not long after, Kris and Robert became a couple. They married, built a family, and, from the outside, appeared to settle into a life of domestic stability. But beneath that surface, the same restlessness lingered. Marriage, motherhood, and the quiet presence of Robert's diaries running parallel to it all. By the late 1980s, Robert believed his marriage was coming apart. His private entries, later made public, paint a picture of a household defined not by scandalous spectacle, but by constant instability. He wrote of long absences and emotional distance, and of what he believed were multiple affairs. One of the most frequently cited involved Kris's alleged relationship with professional soccer player Todd Waterman. In Robert's account, this went beyond infidelity and crossed into abandonment. He claimed Kris would leave their children, then all under the age of 11, for days at a time without contact. In one particularly painful entry, he described spending Christmas Day alone with their 4 young children, while Kris was allegedly out with another man. What makes these diary excerpts unsettling isn't their melodrama, but their ordinariness. Crying children, missed meals, a father struggling to keep a household afloat while the other parent seemed emotionally absent. Whether every detail is fully accurate can never be definitively proven. Diaries document perception, not legal fact, but they reveal how Robert experienced the slow collapse of his family. In 1991, he filed for divorce, citing infidelity, bringing years of private pain into the public record. The divorce didn't merely dissolve a marriage, it cemented a reputation. During the custody dispute, Kris was reportedly ordered to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. Contemporary court-related reporting described the assessment as identifying traits such as narcissism and manipulativeness. Kris has never publicly accepted that characterization, but the description closely mirrored what Robert had written in his diaries years earlier. And what followed next, both legally and personally, raised eyebrows then and continues to do so today. Just 1 month after the divorce was finalized, Kris married Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner. The partner changed, but the dynamic seemed to remain the same. As the children grew older, they began to speak for themselves. And years later, fragments of their experiences surfaced through interviews and reality television moments. Khloé Kardashian, in particular, has spoken openly about her teenage years, recalling being forced to drive illegally at just 13 years old so her mother could continue partying late into the night. She described becoming responsible for getting Kendall and Kylie to school after those nights, stepping into an adult role long before she should have had to. Then there were the quieter symbols, the moments that lingered because of what they implied. When Kim and Kourtney turned 16, they were given brand new BMWs. When it was Khloé's turn, she received a used Chevy Tahoe. On that same birthday, Kris reportedly bought herself a new Mercedes. It wasn't about the cars themselves, it was about the message they carried. Even Kris's frequent jokes about having a favorite child began to feel less like playful humor and more like unfiltered truth. Over time, a rumor that never quite disappeared began to circulate. Speculation that Robert Kardashian might not have been Khloé's biological father. Some tabloids pointed to a former hairstylist, though Kris has repeatedly denied the claims and no evidence has ever substantiated them. Still, the rumor endured, not because of proof, but because favoritism has a way of breeding questions, even when none can ever be definitively answered. By the mid-2000s, Kris had begun a quiet but decisive transformation. She shifted from being a full-time mother to a full-time manager, slowly turning her family into a brand. What had once been private chaos was now reshaped into a public narrative, carefully curated and monetized. The diaries, the divorces, the rumors, and the resentments didn't disappear. They were simply buried beneath a new layer of control, ambition, and reinvention, setting the stage for the empire that would soon dominate popular culture. When Playboy approached Kim Kardashian in 2006, hesitation reportedly flickered. Briefly, Kris did not hesitate at all. Cameras were already rolling for a new reality show, and a magazine spread meant attention. Attention meant leverage. Kris attended the shoot, encouraging from just off-camera, turning what could have been a private decision into a public strategy. It became a defining pop culture moment and a quiet business lesson. Exposure, if carefully managed, could be transformed into power. Then came the sex tape, the scandal that would ultimately build an empire. For years, the story was straightforward and widely accepted. Kim was the victim of a leak, and Ray J was cast as the villain. But in 2022, that narrative cracked open again when Ray J publicly disputed it during an Instagram livestream, claiming the release had been planned and that Kris Jenner was involved in approving which footage would be distributed. He referenced alleged contracts and multiple recordings. Kris and Kim firmly denied the accusations, and no court has ever ruled on the matter. Still, the question lingered uncomfortably in the background. Was the scandal accidental, or was it strategic? Regardless of intent, the result was undeniable. Kim's fame skyrocketed. The family's reality show launched with instant relevance, and Ray J carried the stigma for years. If fame is a currency, someone in that room understood how to invest early. As the machine gained momentum, Kris's focus shifted toward her youngest daughters. Kendall was signed to a major modeling agency at just 14, a move that drew criticism from those who felt the industry pushed adult aesthetics too early. Kylie, even younger, began undergoing cosmetic procedures as a teenager, something she would later acknowledge herself. By 17, Kylie was publicly linked to rapper Tyga, who was significantly older, a relationship that sparked scrutiny but also generated headlines. And headlines, once again, translated into visibility. To critics, a pattern seemed impossible to ignore. Boundaries blurred whenever opportunity appeared. Favoritism, control, and conflict became recurring themes. And although keeping up with the Kardashians presented a glossy, tightly managed image, cracks occasionally showed through. In fleeting arguments and tense exchanges, viewers caught glimpses of the cost of turning a family into a brand and the quiet power struggles that simmered beneath the surface. For anyone following the story this far, it's clear this isn't about gossip. It's about how fame is engineered, how families are transformed into products, and how success can mask the personal damage hidden in plain sight. For more deep dives like this, no fan edits, no sensationalized hate pieces, just the full picture, stay tuned, like, and subscribe.